Hi, my name is Yvonne, and welcome to Wing It with Thought, where scripture meets everyday life. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the Book of Ruth. Not for the love story, but for the 5 powerful things that you might have missed from the Book of Ruth. The time when I read the Book of Ruth through the lens of romance, it was Ruth waiting on Boaz, and Boaz being that faithful companion, and it was literally the price of loyalty, the price of patience, and it made for a beautiful love story. And that is how I saw it. Hashtag find your Boaz. But since rereading the Bible this year and reading it with intention, a lot has opened up to me that I hadn't seen before. Today I'm going to point out the 5 powerful things that you might have missed from the Book of Ruth. First point, Ruth's conversion. Ruth wasn't just choosing Naomi. She was choosing her God. She was choosing her people. She was choosing everything that Naomi represented. A difficult thing for Ruth to do. Naomi couldn't offer her anything. They found each other in this foreign land. Ruth was going on faith because now Naomi was going back home. She didn't even really know what she was going into. Ruth was actually a Moabite. So who are the Moabites? You might recall this name in Genesis. This was a child, came out of the compromise of Lot. So this was Lot's child with his oldest daughter. Your people are going to be my people. Your God will be my God. This was literally Ruth having a conversion, entering into the covenant with God. It sort of speaks volumes to me because sometimes I feel like, are there things that we sort of stay in because they feel familiar, because we are unsure about? And I just feel like I just need to live more by faith. And Ruth was honoring her elders, really. By her choosing Naomi at her lowest point, Naomi must have had so much mental health issues going on at this point, and it was an easy option for Ruth to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go home. But she chose Naomi. This leads seamlessly on to the second point. The love story in the Book of Ruth is Naomi and Ruth, to me at least. Naomi, as I said before, she could have said no, but within the scripture it says she clung on to Naomi. This was her mother-in-law. She met her in a foreign land and she was now going back. This is the greatest love story. This is celebrating the family that we choose. These are the friends that you choose. This is the community that you live in. So it's celebrating that union between women, which I feel is just powerful. The third point, now we move on to Boaz. Boaz is the law keeper. So Boaz is often romanticized. Truly sets him apart is his righteousness. Reading the Book of Ruth echoed Deuteronomy 25, which was about the kinsman redeemer. This was the law that was given in the wilderness, required a close male relative to marry a widow to preserve the family line and inheritance. And this is the situation that Ruth and Naomi are actually in. Naomi's lost her husband and Ruth has lost her husband as well. But the funny thing is, Boaz is actually not in line. He's not the first kinsman redeemer. He still honors the process. He's obeying the law. And another thing that touched me about Boaz, if we go back again to the desert wanderings, in Deuteronomy 24, God commanded landlords they should leave the edge of the field for the poor, the widows, and that's exactly what Ruth is doing in the field of Boaz. You might ask, why was she there? There was extra grain. Boaz had left that extra grain in the edge that invited Ruth to come in. So Boaz isn't just kind, he is righteous. He protects, he honors the spirit of the law. This completely reframed it for me. After reading this, I just thought, it's not about finding my Boaz. It's about being a Boaz. Be a Boaz to somebody today. Leave that extra grain in the field. The next thing is something that is often overlooked, but it sets the whole tone. Ruth's story begins in the days the judges ruled. If you've read the book of Judges, it was a dark and lawless time. And the last verse in the book of Judges says it all. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. It was a time of confusion, spiritual drift, and leadership breakdown. And yet, in the middle of all this, Ruth's story is happening quietly in the background. This further speaks volumes about Boaz. He didn't have to be the kinsman redeemer. In fact, who had the legal right to do this refused, but Boaz chose to follow through. Even when it feels like society is just falling apart, this book demonstrates to me that God still works. And he works through ordinary people like Ruth and Boaz. The final point is the power of yes. For me, this is the thread that holds the whole story. The power of a simple yes. In this book, we meet two people that say yes and two people that say no. Orpah said no to Naomi. And the first kinsman redeemer said no to Ruth. Ruth and Boaz said yes. And this simple yes started the line and genealogy of Jesus. These two simple yeses changed history. So if you think you're insignificant, if you think you're not worthy, you can be instrumental to the message of God. It reminds me that I don't have to be perfect, that I don't have to have it figured out, but I need to make myself available to God. So Ruth is one of the shortest books in the Bible. It holds so much deep truth. I would love to hear what stood out the most for you. Leave a comment below and let's start a conversation. If this is a type of content that speaks to your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. May you walk with faith when it feels very unfamiliar, just like Ruth.